Hey everybody, welcome back. HSC Podcast 145. Got Big Box Steve on the mic, the Big Smooth, Fresh West. We are here March Madness has got to be the most exciting part. We'll talk NFL tonight. Got some cool movie reviews for later, so stick around. We'll segment it for you. And so, starting off, I think we should jump into just a little bit of open talk, NFL updates. We'll do that for the first part here. Looking at NFL offseason, there's still a lot of talk about, right? And as we get close to the draft, we'll do mock drafts, all these things. But recent signings, recent cuts, recent free agency, obviously, I think Cooper Kupp to Seattle was a big one. We talked about Cooper Kupp last week. Landing spots. Did you guys think Seattle would be one of them?
Well, after I found out, thinking about it, yeah, it's his hometown area. It's, Washington. One of his coaches is there, so it's familiarity. So it makes sense. It's probably the team he grew up liking.
Right. It is. He actively says that. How does that affect, Seattle losing DK, cutting Lockett? It seems like that's a pretty good addition.
We'll see if he's still got anything left, though.
Well, to me, he has enough to be like a Julian Edelman, and you got Jigby on the other side. You got him. Um, Seattle. Well, what does Seattle expect? This is the just no one's really expecting much out of them next year, but they do have Sam Darnold. I think it's a good fit. I think another team that could have used them is the Cowboys, but of course they don't want to pay anybody. So
I don't think he'd probably want to go there anyway. I don't think many players want to because it's such a dysfunctional place. Did you see the Twitter fight between DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons?
what did he say? He said, didn't he say DeMarcus Lawrence was like someone showed me today because I couldn't see it on the TV. He's like he basically called him out for like just being a mouth, just like annoying and tweeting and podcasting, and he's too concerned about that.
Well, what happened was is they interviewed DeMarcus Lawrence and he was basically he wanted to get into like go to a place where a winning culture, da 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 da. And so then Micah Parsons tweeted something about calling him basically a bitch. And that's where DeMarcus Lawrence came back and was like, listen, I I care more about trying to win games than being on podcasts and doing this other stuff.
Exactly, it's true.
Well, Cowboys didn't they just sign a couple people that broke their streak?
Yeah, they signed
Uh, Dante Fowler.
yeah, Dante. Why is it on? Yeah, Dante Fowler. It's not up to date.
But it
That's
was
not
still
like
it's like a
saying a lot.
1 year 6 million or something like that. But it broke that like 6 million never signing a free agent
Oh,
since
it's 7 million.
1997.
No, it's 7 million.
7 million.
It didn't break it.
Oh,
2015.
didn't they get Miles Sanders?
They did sign Miles Sanders, which actually, so I saw that, and one thing I think Miles Sanders has more left in him, and I think he's a good running back personally. I think going to Carolina was a really bad decision for him,
He did it for the money.
obviously, right? Yeah, and he did. And that's what happens though. Like you lose stock when you do stuff for the money versus if he had gone somewhere where he had a better line and he was more involved in the scheme, he would have got more value later.
Yeah,
But go ahead, Wes.
yeah, I think that's a good pick. I didn't see that. That's a good pickup for them because you got a running back, experienced running back, and then they're gonna draft a running back at some point. There's so many running backs, so then you got two running backs. Um, I think that's a good addition.
Well, Sanders has a good skill set,
Yeah.
for multiple things of running and catching.
Yeah.
Maybe he's not an every down back in the sense that you might want, but if you get a two-headed system going, like another good rookie, he could be very effective. And so I actually like that pickup by the Cowboys. But now you're talking about your best pickup of off season's Miles Sanders.
No, but you could be the Browns. I'm looking at the Browns right now. It says biggest additions. Number one, Kenny Pickett. Cody Pickett. Excuse me, Cody Pickett.
Cody Pickett. Let's get his name right.
Darn it. I always do that.
They did re-sign Myles Garrett, so that's pretty
Yes.
important.
I want to go to a winner. Oh, we'll give you a bunch of money. I'll stay here.
I'll stay here. There's a lot of good moves around free agency. Are there any that like stick out for you guys as far as benefited the most?
Well, we talked about it last week, and it's for you, Steve. It's what the Bears did to their offensive line. I mean,
Right.
getting Dahlman and then trading for Tooney and Jackson, that's probably the best offseason. Because what was the Bears' most glaring weakness? They really didn't lose anyone of importance.
Right.
No.
And so we talked about the Bears. We went through Raiders, went through some other ones. Um, is the DeAndre Hopkins good for Baltimore? Like, what does that mean on that side?
It gives him another tool. He's not what he used to be, but still, when you have the weapons that they have at their disposal, you know, he's another weapon. You know, it's just it helps them maybe so they don't key on Bateman and
Yeah.
so they don't key as much. If they do key on him, then he can get open, and he can still high point a ball. He could be great in the red zone. It's just I don't think. Of course, Kansas City. It seems like they just didn't utilize him enough in certain situations.
Well, I like the red zone idea of him because even though Baltimore has a lot of great players, I don't feel like they have a lot of go-to in the red zone.
Yeah.
And Mark Andrews was the epitome of that in the playoffs.
Oh
But
yeah. Can you imagine if they had Hopkins on that play? That's
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I love Zay Flowers. I love Rashad Bateman, and I think I actually like this addition because I think what Hopkins brings is a different skill set than those two guys. Bateman more of a deep threat, Flowers more of a the pinball guy, where you actually now can't double or put two safeties deep over the top if Hopkins is running those middle routes or those outs.
yeah. Yeah, I can, and that will make it a little bit easier for Lamar instead of having to run around and create so much. I mean, likely's that guy too, but it just gives them another tool in their toolkit.
Right.
And it takes one away from the Chiefs.
Which everybody loves. Everybody loves that. So we talked last week, and I want to talk about this a second. We talked last week about these big contracts and what happened with Edge, what happened with the signing of Myles Garrett and your guy.
Crosby.
He's just not important enough. I'm just kidding. Max Crosby. And how that raises contracts and it makes it harder for you to sign like a Michael Parsons or down the road. So Stingley just has this happen again, right? So we just went through this last week, and now here we are in another week where now cornerbacks are now be affected by this same thing. And not to bring back the Bears, but people are talking about, oh, that was a good idea to lock Jalen Johnson in because if you hadn't after the Stingley signing, then what are you out?
Yeah.
So what does that mean for cornerbacks?
Isn't it $30 million a year?
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's insane.
It's more than Crosby and Garrett, right?
Right.
It's stupid.
Well, and then Daniel Hunter was just an extension, but I think he got like 34 million a year or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, Danielle Hunter's a good player, but I'm not putting him with Crosby and Bosa and Miles Garrett.
Yeah. What was it? It was
He's the Trevor Lawrence of
he
edges.
got a 1 year, $35.6 million contract extension.
Right. But what does that mean for, because Stingley's good, don't get me wrong, but there's better corners, right? So what does that mean for the future of cap and salary and signing their next corners?
Well, it's just basically they're doing the philosophy of quarterback. You sign them can at an extension because then if you wait, uh, like the Cowboys, then you have to pay even more. So it's like that's the whole, like, the Chargers got Herbert signed, Tua got signed, all those quarterbacks got signed before they needed to and gave them extra money, even though they had time on their contracts because they knew, okay, if we wait, someone else is going to get more and more and more. So, like that. Now, look at the Jets. They're going to have to give Gardner more.
That's what I mean. And you got what's his name down in Denver,
Yeah,
Surtain.
Sertan.
But that's, I mean, and then in the NFC, there's plenty of other good, corners too that are going to come up the same way. So it it's kind of an interesting dynamic when you look at the different pay levels of the different positions and how much that affects their number one, their cap and who they're signing and things like that. Because doesn't that leave a big gap for like teams to go after good linebackers, good running backs, good, interior offensive linemen?
Well, like, but that though, it's like, okay, the reason the Texans can do that is because they have CJ Stroud on a rookie contract, right? I mean, the Bengals aren't signing a $30 million corner. I mean, they can't even bring back Trey Hendrickson now.
Well, let's talk about the Bengals for a second. Look at Burrow and Higgins and Chase, their salaries. Like, come on. So,
What's kind of funny to me is like, okay, what happened this year? They were awesome, but their defense sucked. So what do we do? Let's put more money in our offense and none on our defense. And let's alienate our best defensive player.
but just for a second, let's play devil's advocate and say you still have T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, and Joe Burrow, which is a deadly combination offensively. So, yeah, you could give up a lot of points, but you could still outscore every team.
But
And
they didn't. They
well,
Joe Burrow should have been the MVP this year.
yeah,
Well,
I
But
statistically, he was right there.
yeah, but they lost. They didn't even make the playoffs because they couldn't stop anyone.
yeah, it's kind of they don't really have a choice in this situation. They don't have a choice now because they just did it. You just gotta you're drafting. You're drafting your defense. What are you drafting this year? Defense.
Yeah.
How many draft picks do we have? Oh, 6 or 7. Let's get more because we know what we need defense. That's what you're doing. You're going to have a bunch of young guys out there on defense. And after last year, when you look at it, how can you get any worse? But think about it. I'm drafting Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State defense.
Notre Dame.
Actually, Ohio State's all their secondary after the way they played against Oregon. How can they be any worse? They got confidence, Sean.
But
They don't have bad memories. They just won a title.
as good as your defense might be, does anybody go in and be like, awesome, I get to play Cincinnati this week? Nobody's out there be like, I can't wait to play Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase. So
Except
yeah,
the
they got some
quarterback of
work
the
to
other
do.
teams is like, awesome. I'm going to look so good this week.
I'm gonna hit my bonus
No,
for
dude, he's like
yards and touchdowns.
Burrow's like Marino, dude. He's like,
All right, yeah, a little
whatever,
Clayton
dude.
Duper
I
action
got
happened.
Clayton Duper. I don't have a running back. I don't have defense. I'll just get the ball in my
It's
hands to these
I'm
players.
just saying it's not the worst strategy in the world. The worst strategy in the world was Carolina
Yeah.
trading away your whole team and giving up all your picks. But yeah, it's interesting though that I mean it's not new, but man, they gave a lot of money.
Yeah. Did you see that meme about it? Like it was like, hey, this was the Bengals. It was a movie where what's his face going around asking kids, hey, do you want to play some football? Like it's just like I forgot the movie. It's like, hey, you want to play football? Hey, you want to play basketball?
They may be doing that here really
Yeah.
soon. But you're right. They're going to draft defense, right? And you put enough young guys in there. What do you really need? You need a good secondary. You gotta have decent secondary.
Yeah. I would start outside in
Right.
because who knows? They were talking to Trey, but still, how are they going to sign him? I mean, what do you actually do? You can't. How much do they have to give him?
Well, that was the thing. Last thing I saw was he said he's willing to sit out this season.
Yeah. Well, when everybody else, the stars of the team, are getting
Yeah.
$30 and $50 million a year,
Yeah.
you want to get some of that.
Well, considering he's one of the, it was statistically best defensive ends in the last like 4 years.
He's the most sacks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and he doesn't get a lot of, everyone's a Burrow, Chase. It's like this guy's he's like your defense. It's like, what's your defense? Oh, that one guy.
All right. So March Madness 2025, one of the favorite times of year. So in this segment, we're going to go through a couple things. So we'll talk about the first round, give a little bit of insight to our final four, and then before we do that, though, I want to talk a little bit about the bracket selection and what's been happening in the world of media. Not as much like discern over the bracket selections, but North Carolina was a big one. So have you guys seen that? I mean, have you heard
That's
a lot of
all I
talking
heard
points?
about was
Right,
North
that's what I mean.
Carolina.
It seems
I
like
saw
the
the-
only one out there, right?
I saw West Virginia's governor talk about it. He said there should be an investigation because the dude got paid $100,000.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I
and
think
then
technically he can't do anything, but the head of the committee is from UNC's president, isn't it?
something like that. What's ridiculous is I heard that yesterday, right? And it was on First Take. And
Right.
today, someone brought that up on First Take, and Stephen A's like, "What?" I go, "He said that yesterday." He's like, "Because they were racking on the governor," and I was like, "Yeah, he's kind of an idiot, but he does have a point here."
Well, a lot of analysts, and when you watch like the selection shows and from any channel, any website you go to, most analysts were saying they don't like UNC being in the tournament. And a lot of that was like they took like their schedule and who they played versus like who they lost to. So they went like 1-12 against
Quad
quad
4.
five, right?
Yeah, well, they went 1-12, and then West Virginia was like they were 6-1, I think, but they were 19-13. They were 10-10 in their conference. They
Right.
lost in the first round to the worst team
In their
Colorado.
tournament. Right.
Yeah, it's like this is not like a Cinderella story here.
Well,
I mean, they weren't very good.
Look, in North Carolina, if you watched in the ACC tournament, went to the final seconds with Duke.
Yeah, and they almost came back and won the game.
Outside of a lane violation, that they may have won that game.
Yeah.
But did Cooper Flag play?
No, but I mean, still though, it's not. You're talking about making the tournament, not winning the tournament.
Yeah, it's like getting hot late. It's like who's hot and who's
Right.
not. It's like when a team loses in the first round to the worst team, that's like saying they're not really hot right now.
Well, and did they make a statement in their playing game? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I think they did.
They did, but that was predictable. I was like, they're gonna probably beat them handily because they have talent.
Right.
It's not like they don't have talent here. They just didn't play well.
Well,
I mean,
two
the thing
two
is, they
things to
got
that
blown
though.
out in games. They got blown, and during the season, North Carolina.
Right.
I mean, they were getting blown out in these games.
I think they had a better second half than they did first half. But first of all, San Diego State's no slouch. It's not like they're a bad team. And for Carolina to come out like, yeah, you lost a heartbreaker against Duke in the semifinals ACC tournament. You get to the play-in, and then you come in and you're just like, look, this is why we deserve to be here. I think you're almost fueling their fire by saying you don't belong there.
Yeah. And they still got RJ Davis. They got some young pieces around them. They got talent. It's just what their next game. I had to look at this bracket, but they can make a run. I
I don't think they'll make a run. I just think that to say they don't deserve to be there is a stretch. There's arguments on both sides, but for that to be the biggest topic around the selection, I was like, come on, man, you're questioning UNC
yeah.
in the tournament.
Well, they're just basically questioning its brand name. It's not what if you put a blind taste test of these two teams and not knowing which one, you're not taking UNC. But once you put the brand name to it, you are taking UNC.
Yeah. Which there's tons of teams over time that it's always been that case though, right?
Yeah, every year they have to give somebody the
right. I would rather, and this is not just because, I'm a UNC fan, I'd rather see a UNC team at like 20-13 over a 10-10 conference West Virginia.
Yeah. Especially when it's not that, it's Big 12, right? It's not the SEC this year.
Yeah. The SEC is crazy. So that was really the only like pre-bracket, kind of TMZ, if you'll say, of the NCAA tournament. But let's get into first. So we're not going to have time to go through the whole first round. But what I do want to do is I want to focus on for our listeners the HSC Podcast upsets, first round upsets. And let's go through a few of those for our listeners and say, hey, here's where we think that, you might be able to enhance your bracket by picking this upset. I'm just going to throw one out there. It's not a big upset, but I'll just start with I like Creighton in the South. It's an 8-9, so it's really not that big of an upset. But the way Creighton is playing right now, they have a lot of momentum. And so it's hard to bet against Louisville in that situation, but I'm going to take Creighton there in that 8-9.
Yeah, I got that too.
I got Xavier after what I saw against Texas. I thought, they it looked like Texas was going to win easily. Came back, hit threes. We got inside. I think that's Illinois might have a problem.
Oh,
11-6.
So you got Xavier now beating number 6 Illinois.
And I got one more. I got High Point, dude. Any school named High Point has a chance. I don't know where a High Point comes from. Dude, Purdue, watch out. High Point.
Against Purdue?
Purdue's not as good as they were last year. Come on.
No, you're right.
And there's I don't think it's like years past where it's like, oh yeah, this is a total 11. The 11's we're gonna have 3 11s win. I would watch out a little bit for Akron in Arizona. Akron is pretty good. They won their championship game on the last second. They got talent.
But are they going to beat Arizona?
Well, I picked it in like 3 brackets.
Wes is Mr. 20 brackets.
Yeah, we can't have 20 bracket answer here, Wes. What we need is Akron going to beat Arizona?
Yes, they're going to beat them.
So you're going to commit to that?
Yeah, I'll commit to that. I'm not going to. I want to commit to Liberty beating Oregon, but I just can't. I can't.
I'm just all
I
about the underdogs.
I commit to Liberty beating Oregon.
Okay.
Really?
I've got Liberty beating Oregon.
Wow. Okay.
Well, I
And
mean,
then I
I do
also
not have
have,
that happening, and I do not have Akron beating Arizona. I actually have Arizona and Oregon playing next round.
well, Arizona's got Caleb Love. So of course
Right.
Steve's going to be going
yeah,
for Arizona. My one is Drake. Drake beating
yeah,
Missouri.
I got that too. I got Drake. I do got North Carolina beating Ole Miss. They're 11-6.
Yeah, I
I
got that
have
too.
that as well. Let's go back to this Drake, Missouri, though. So you guys both have Drake?
Yeah.
So you got 11 Drake being 6 Missouri. Is this, and I hate to say this, is this like the old bracket 11 can beat a 6, you know?
Well, think about some of the teams like Drake and
Because it happens a lot, and so people tend to throw that into their bracket a lot, like a 5 and a 12 and a 7 and a 10 and a 6 and
but
11.
but think about some of these 11s and like BYU, VCU. I mean, that's not BYU's. I would say is probably going to win that game, but still, a lot of these 11s are they're conference champions from the better, crappier conferences,
Right.
so
Yeah.
smaller conferences.
But here,
And
so
so they're the better teams of the lower level conferences going up against a mid tier, made the conference tournament, did okay during the season. That's kind of that's why it seems like they win a lot.
so Drake, Missouri though, like Missouri, you got to think about like how tough of competition has Missouri played all year. Is there anything that they played that compares to a Drake? Yeah, maybe the bottom couple of the SEC.
Yeah.
But Drake or Missouri's been playing top tier teams all year. They still came in the 6th seed.
Right. Well, think about it though. You have so many SEC teams. Do you really think they're all going to be good? Because think about it, in years past, remember when the Big Ten would have all these teams and we were like, oh, the Big Ten's going to be great. And then like
Right.
one or two make it past the first week.
Big Ten are chokers though, but I get your point.
And then the seeding, the Oregon thing, I still don't understand. Oregon's a 5 seed, but Creighton's a 9 seed. I mean, that's just odd to me.
Well, I mean, that's what
I mean, come on here.
Derek was just talking about it though, which is it's the conference you're coming from gives you that stigma or that ability to be ranked higher because you're playing better competition.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, Big Ten's better than the Big East to a certain extent, but are they really that much better? I mean,
Top to bottom?
Well, top to bottom, they're better. But
Right.
what I'm saying is overall, we're talking about the top tier teams here. I mean, UConn's won 2 national championships in a row.
St. John's.
I mean,
I got one for you guys. Colorado State beating Memphis.
Yeah, I got that one too.
I thought about it.
Memphis hasn't looked great lately. Their offense has looked not stable, up and down, not the ability to score regularly, or have a couple go-to guys. Where Colorado State does have a couple go-to guys, and as long as those guys shoot a high percentage, they're in the game. So that's one I think might hit is Colorado State against Memphis.
Oh,
I also have UNC beating Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Wes.
I think we all three do.
Oh, everybody does?
Yeah. I got UNC going to the Elite Eight.
Wow.
I mean, maybe they play Iowa State. They could beat Iowa State. Or is that right? Yeah, Iowa State.
Yeah.
Michigan State Marquette. I mean,
Well, I got one for you guys. because I think this is one of the most interesting first round games, is the St. Mary's Vanderbilt.
Yeah, I got Vandy winning that one.
What do you think on that, Wes?
And my main brackets, I have St. Mary's.
Well, I got Vandy as well. That this is one of those like, how well does St. Mary's match up against Vanderbilt? If St. Mary's is a monster, are they ranked 7? No, they're just there because they either won their conference or
Well, they
Lost
played
to
an easy
Gonzaga.
schedule.
They lost the confrance.
well
Right. Well,
they
that's what I'm saying. Like
they
you,
won
there
the
was the two
regulars.
reasons you there. You had a good season, lost, but still had a good record, or you won your division tournament. Right. That's the only way St. Mary's gets into a 7.
Mhm.
Where Vanderbilt gets in a 10 because they got their butt kicked all year against really good competition.
Right. I mean, yeah. So Vandy has beaten Tennessee and Kentucky and Texas A&M, but have also lost to Tennessee and Kentucky, and then they lost Auburn, Florida, Alabama. So it's not like they're top tier SEC, but they can hold their own.
Right. Against real solid competition.
Yeah.
So what's your biggest upset? So if you're going to name your number one biggest first round upset, what are you guys going to give to the listeners?
Bryant.
I mean, I
Did you
thought
really
about it.
have Bryant?
I watched him play.
No, I'm saying one you actually have.
I almost had Bryant, but then I realized uh what's his name is not there anymore. He graduated last year. Doug Edert. Remember him
Yeah. Yeah.
from
No.
St. Peter's? He had the mustache and stuff. He transferred to Bryant,
Yeah.
and then that
So your most confident, biggest upset, guaranteed. Let's choose one and let's see how we do.
okay, Colorado State is my biggest.
Derek's going with Colorado State beating who are they playing? Memphis. 12 beating a 5. That's a big one. And that's your guarantee.
Yep.
Wes, what's your guarantee?
Guarantee. There's not a guarantee. I don't know. I'd say Xavier.
Beating Illinois.
Yeah.
That's very possible. I hate to say it, Derek, but I think Wes is more possible than yours.
Well, but you're saying guaranteed. That's like if I say High Point, that's not guaranteed. I don't even know who High Point is.
High
High
Point.
Point sounds like a dance school. Like a bunch of it sounds like a ballet
Yeah.
High Point, you know.
Well, I thought you were talking. Okay, well, if I want a real guarantee upset, it's UNC. North
Oh,
Carolina's.
okay.
That's even better,
Yeah.
I think.
I mean, I'm on that same line. And this one, I went back and forth, but then ultimately I decided that I'm going with VCU beating BYU at 11 and 6 as like if you want to get the most out of your money, I think that's your best chance.
Well, isn't it funny that we all picked 11 versus 6?
Yeah.
Right?
We all picked 11 versus 6.
We did.
Yeah.
That is funny.
And I could see all 11s winning,
Right.
more 11s, because me and Wes were talking about Drake, right?
Right.
So,
Well, I mean, we know that historically you're 5'12, you're 6'11, and you're 7'10. That's where your most change happens.
right.
So I want to get into Final Four here, but 1, 2, 15, 16. Are there any upsets that could happen?
Bryant.
Well, no. What are we talking about? 15-2?
116, 215 of all 8 games between those.
Oh yeah.
Is there what's the most possible? Brian is not beating Michigan State, dude.
You know,
Dude, what's his name? I mean, dude, he's too good.
I
Their guard, you know what I'm talking about. Dude, scores like 25 points a game in the Big Ten. Maybe not 25, might be exaggerating, but still, he's really good.
Yeah, they
He
got their
alone will beat Brian.
I think Wolford and Tennessee. I just
Oh,
that's one where Tennessee.
Wolford in Tennessee.
I yeah, they could if they come out, Wolford just starts draining threes. I mean, they got to be like Steph Curry threes here. Like they just got drained threes, and Tennessee has to play catch up. I mean, I could see that,
Yeah.
but not likely. I mean, Omaha, St. John's. I don't even know anything about Omaha. I didn't, I've never seen them in the tournament. Robert Morris in Alabama. Someone picked that. We're filling out a bracket and for somebody, and they're like, I got Robert Morris, and I was like, okay, well,
Yeah.
they got Mark Sears.
Dude,
And,
look, I have Auburn going deep, but of what we just talked about, I think Alabama State has the best chance.
I'm not gonna say they have the best chance, but you're saying there's a chance. I
Well,
mean,
I'm
they
just saying of
won.
those 15, 16s against 1-2s.
That game last night was ridiculous. That pass. I mean, that was they got some momentum. I will say that. And Auburn's been struggling. I think they've lost 3 of the last 4.
Right. And I don't like Michigan State Bryant. I mean, Florida's gonna murder Norfolk State. St. John's is gonna kill Omaha. Duke's Mount St. Mary's, come on.
But it'd be funny if Cooper Flag didn't play, right?
Houston
They
against
lost.
Yeah, they lost. Like you got McDonald's, all Americans all over the floor. Oh, we don't need Cooper Flag against Mount St. Mary's, and they lose.
and they lose. That'd be
You know
great.
he's playing. He is playing.
Well, look, I mean, he almost cost them the ACC tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they were still always. I mean, they were already one seed.
I mean, they were in, right, already. And I just don't see a lot of chance for the 15, 16s this year as past.
I think a team's got to come out really hot and be like up 20 to 6.
I don't know about this Wolford, Tennessee, though.
Dude, it's Wolford, man. Don't mess with Wolford. They're dangerous.
Okay, so that means so there's our upsets. Talking through some of the mid range, what's happened between 6-11, 7-10. But because the tournament hasn't started yet, we have to give our final four and our champion. So if we're right, like we seem like geniuses, right?
Well,
Yeah.
I don't know.
So-
I might seem like it because I did fill up 15 brackets. If I'm not 90% in one of the brackets after 16, there's a problem.
That's just bad luck at that point.
Yeah.
Like you fill enough brackets, you should be.
No, but I did the last like 10, I did the smart thing, the smart random thing, and it comes out pretty good, and I go back and make changes that I want. And then I submit it.
So now you're using AI. I get it. Well, chances are my tournament winner and Derek's tournament winner is the same.
Yeah, I had a feeling that's gonna happen. I already know who's Derek's. That's
Well, if you know who's Derek's is, you know who's mine is.
Yeah.
I really think Florida has the best chance of winning this tournament. And it's a couple things. They're very deep as a team, right? Doesn't matter who they sub in or sub out, they're not losing a lot at any position. They played tough competition all year, so they're used to long stretches of good games, which is what the tournament's about, right? Can you play 4 or 5 games in a row against top quality competition? But they're so balanced. That's the hard part. With college basketball today, the more balanced you are, the more chance you have to go forward. So I have to take Florida in that sense because they really showed a lot in the SEC tournament. Not only just resiliency, but the ability to play defense and the ability to score points. And so Florida, I can't see them losing. I got them winning. So,
And they kind of steamrolled the SEC tournament. It wasn't really like they had any tough games.
well, they had tough games. They just made them look not tough.
Right. They weren't close at the end.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like they played tough opponents.
Yeah.
They made it look easy.
Yeah. I mean, they beat Alabama by 22 and then Tennessee by 9, but it was close. It was farther away than 9.
The game was closer than it looked.
Yeah.
So my guess is you also have Florida winning, Derek.
Yeah.
All right, Wes, what do you got? High Point? Wes is like High Point win the national championship.
The first bracket that I did was with the pool, and I got Florida going to the championship game against Houston. I have Houston.
Houston winning. Nice.
Never bet on Houston in the tournament,
It
Wes.
doesn't matter. They got to win it one year.
If you keep doing it every year, eventually you'll win.
I think of course Florida on paper is they are the most impressive team. They lead the team, they lead the country in offensive rebounding. So they're big. They second chance points, they get to the basket. I just think for once Houston will get lucky. And they'll kind of hold Florida under 65.
I don't even know if that's happened this year, Wes.
I know.
Well, Houston's not a bad look. There's nothing wrong with Houston, and that's a good pick because at the end of the day, Florida can have good games, bad games,
Yeah,
just like any other team.
I want to take the Marquettes. I want to take the Wisconsins. Michigan is a little scary, I think. Just
Michigan
because
is a little scary. I think
they
Michigan
got
State
size.
is scarier than Michigan.
But,
I think Michigan State is scarier than Michigan.
Everybody, Michigan State had a great season. I think you saw some deficiency in the tournament. I mean, they lost to Wisconsin, and Wisconsin didn't play that well. Wisconsin is my sleeper.
Look, Tanji, dude, that guy's a beast.
Yeah. I got them beating Duke. I got them going to the Final Four against Houston, and again, Houston getting lucky.
So West got Houston, Derek and I got Florida, but let's move back Final Four because we won't go further back than that. But Final Four is a big thing. So obviously, I have Florida, and then I have Michigan State in the South and the West. So I got Florida, Michigan State, and the East and Midwest. I have Alabama and Houston. So it's 2 1s, 2 2s, which doesn't feel that cool. But this is a tournament where I don't think a lot of the lower seeds will go deep.
It feels that way. It feels like six and up. That's 5 and up. I don't think you're gonna have a 1-1-1-1, like 4 1s here, but you never know. I mean, it just depends how you get a feel in the first game of the Sweet 16 how it's gonna probably go. You
got Houston already. So what are your other 3?
I got a 1 and 2. I got Houston and Wisconsin. I got a 1 in Florida.
All right, back with the 30-minute movie review. So we did a little segment this last week. So we're reviewing a movie. We're going to tell you the goods, the bads, and hopefully you guys get out and watch them. If there are movies you want to hear us review, please leave those in the comments. Happy to review any movies you want. But for the first couple weeks, at least, we're going to do some movies that we want to do because we don't really care what you want. Who wants to go first?
Derek wants to go first.
The movie I chose for you two to watch was The Boondock Saints from 1999, starring Willem Dafoe, Sean Patrick Flannery, and Norman Reedus. I will have Steve do the good and Wes do the bad.
All right. Well, I'll start with the good. This is one of my favorite movies. And I will say, just start off, it's not my typical favorite. There are points where you're watching the movie and it's not slow because there's action, but the plot is not moving forward as much as you'd like it. But that doesn't has nothing to do with the quality of one, the script is excellent, right? The idea of the movie's great. So if you haven't seen the movie, I don't want to ruin it, but you have the kind of a vigilante justice thing happening. Willem Dafoe, not only does he play a great part, but he throws a wrench into the movie that makes it more than just an action shoot 'em up, beat 'em up type movie. And it's really a refreshing part he plays, but it's also a little weird, which also makes it a little more enticing. Um, Acting is top notch. Writing leaves a little bit to be desired, but still keeps you interested. And the friend that tells the jokes, like I have to put this in here because first of all, like this is Hollyism's number one. Always says it the wrong way, right? Like whatever the actual saying is, she's gonna get it wrong. And to have that guy in the movie, every joke, every saying he says, it's like says it absolutely wrong. It's great.
Is that Rocco?
Yeah, Rocco. And it's like you're talking about like screen doors sinking battleships and stuff. Like it's funny because it doesn't matter. It's always the opposite of the actual saying, right? I love the plot and the father in the plot, and how it comes back to the kids. Again, I don't want to ruin the whole movie, but the way they tie it together, it's well done. And it's not a movie that you'll be disappointed in watching. And there's parts of it that will make you laugh or make you wonder or even be like, this is great action. So they have a very good mix. And so I definitely recommend it movie. I've seen it 100 times because it's that good. So Wes, what are the bads?
I can't say a lot bad about the movie. I mean, it's loud,
It is loud.
very loud, very violent, lots of blood. Um, it's hard to understand sometimes. I had backup. I was half asleep though, but I had backup, and I was like, "What? What did that happen?"
Right.
The way it's hard to hear sometimes.
Because they're speaking very low and there's a lot of
Yeah,
action.
and
Yeah.
courtroom scene is just it's wild. I mean, it's just if they keep talking. It's like I get it. I get it. Just kill them, please. All right, let's get over with. And that's about it.
Yeah. What do you think about, because I don't want to, because I was obviously on the good, but what do you think about like those last scenes with Willem Dafoe where you got the music playing and he's shooting around, he's talking about he did this and he did that. Like, doesn't that get a little beyond, like, you're like, come on.
Yeah, but again, I think that's the point of the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't. This is the first time I've seen the movie. I don't
Oh,
know.
really? Okay.
I've never
That's
seen the
great.
movie, and so, but my guess is like they're over. It's an over dramatization to prove a point,
Right.
and that's what kind of the movie is. That's why I think a lot of people think it's great because it's like it's. I would call it satire. Would you call it? I mean, I don't know what you call it.
mean, that's a pretty good, bold statement.
Yeah. Because if you take it seriously, you're going to hate the movie.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
like,
You have to take it for what it is.
like if my school teacher friend watched it, she's like, I hate that movie. It's like, you don't get it.
Well, it's definitely not a movie I'd have
It's not
Caitlin
a Hallmark movie. Sorry. This isn't a
Well,
Hallmark.
but on the opposite of that, Holly loves the movie.
Yeah.
So wives are different in those senses.
Yeah.
But yeah, the scene where he's handcuffed around the toilet, like that's a crazy scene. You know, when he knows like he's gonna die or his brother's gonna die, and he has to like the only chance you have is to like break the toilet when you're handcuffed around it, and he jumps off the building and crushes the dude. And then
Yeah.
the cops come in and he's like, it feels like there was a big crusher guy.
Yeah.
That's great. Like that's good stuff. You don't see that in a lot of movies. So that's a good one. That's a great one. So I'll go next. And so this was inspired, by Holly as well, but it is also a movie I really love. And so let's talk Almost Famous. So Wes, I'll give you the good since you had the bad last time, and then Derek, you can do the bad.
Um, I like the fact that the kid is he kind of he's going into this world of rock and roll stardom at such a time where there's just so much going on during that time when it comes to music, and it's like he was trying to fit in, and him being just a kid, it's puts like like I mean, he's always been looked at as like, oh yeah, you're too young for everything, right? Like his mom lied about his age, which I kind of so I haven't seen this movie in like 20 years probably, and so I forgot about it. I didn't know that her mom lied about his own age. Like he thought he was 12 years old and he was 11, and so right there, that kind of like what's going on here? Why would you do that? You know? And that just kind of sets the premise of the movie when he gets to be 15. He lies about his age again to Kate Hudson, Penny, of course. But it just stardom. It shows early because it's kind of slow in the beginning. It kind of sets up this idea of is it the music or is it the stardom? And you see that right from the beginning. It's like there's these two worlds that he has to write about.
Right.
Is he writing about the music or is he writing about the fame? Are you writing about the parties and the girls and the groupies and the band-aids, which I thought that was I mean,
The Kate Hudson Band-Aid thing is great.
yeah, and at first you're just like, what is, okay, I get it. It's a little cliche. And then I think when my favorite part is the plane scene. That really, I mean, that's like, okay, we're all gonna die on the plane. I'm not gonna give it away, and we're gonna tell everybody our secrets and how we feel.
How many comedy skits has been done based on that premise?
Yeah, and then the pilot's like, hey, we're good, guys.
Yeah, we're good.
You, you know,
That's
um,
like the ultimate comedy scene premise, right? It's like
yeah,
you're going down on a plane, everybody can confess their last sins.
yeah, and the whole idea of Penny and her relationship um, with the guy she's in love with this guy that he not really he's not really she thinks of something it's not there.
Right.
And William has to the beer scene. He's like William has to tell her like, look, you you don't go to New York. I'm telling you right now, you're stupid. And he's honest with her. And then
Yeah,
he's
but
like,
then
I'm
she's
gonna
like, "What kind of beer?"
yeah, yeah. Okay.
That's
He's
such a
like, no,
great
no.
answer. Like when you really think about that, that's a really great answer.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I'm the dangerous one. He's the bad guy, right? Because he's the writer. He's the one that's gonna tell everybody the truth about, you know, hey, this is what it is, and everyone's kind of like pushing him in a direction like, oh, don't write that, right? Remember they're fighting,
Yeah.
and it was like, don't write that, and then he said, but write this, right? Um, and the ending, of course, is it's a pretty good twist. Um,
Yeah.
it
Well, I think I mean, you hit so many good of the topics there. So if you don't want to watch the movie after hearing that, like something wrong with you. But yeah, that whole, two sides and coming of age, and that's such a good plot. So, but there's always a bad. So there, give us the bad.
Well, I'll also interject this part too. It's kind of a true story.
yeah,
Hmm.
Penny Lane Trumbull is real. She lives in Oregon. She lives in Portland.
Dude, the guy named Lester Bangs is real.
Yes.
Lester Bangs.
Um, but yes, and then the whole airplane part happened also. Cameron Crowe, because it's about Cameron Crowe when he was younger. He started out as a Rolling Stones writer.
Right.
And it was, over dramatized in the movie, but the whole airplane thing happened, and he said there was someone who like came out and said something, and then it was briefly, but not everyone got it. But I guess I didn't really care for Patrick Fugit as the main kid.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed Michael and Anargano as the little kid. He was great as playing the younger
yeah,
version of him.
Yeah.
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 Um, and then, but it's very long
Really, really long.
and it's very slow in parts, but it's really good acting. So it's at catch 22. All of the Band-Aids girls are amazing. Like they are the ones like, Fairuza Balk and um
Kay Hudson.
yeah, no, and Anna Paquin
Oh, yeah, yeah.
and Bijou Phillips. Yeah, they all were great. And then even the part with Zoe Deschanel as the sister and Frances McDormand.
No.
I think that probably was my favorite scene in the movie was when Frances McDormand's talking to Billy Crudup's character on the phone.
Yeah, it is really good.
But yeah, I mean, besides it being really long, everything else was pretty good. I mean, there's other like because it was made in 2000. Like Eric Stone Street has a small part in that, way before he did Modern Family. And then like when you're watching it, it's like, oh yeah, it's like you're like, okay, I could see him actually being,
It's like a blast from the past.
yeah, it's like I could see him being big, like Jay Baruchel's part, and then Eric Swarsden, Nick Swarsden, had a little part where he's like, oh my God, it's David Bowie. So
Yeah, it's agreeable. I mean, overall, it's a hard take because it is a really good movie. And so it's definitely hard to pick holes in it. I mean, the length of the movie and the slowness at times, I think is probably the hardest of that movie.
you have to be in the right mindset to watch it.
Right.
Have to.
It's a commitment. Like you gotta be committed. But if you're committed, it's great. And it's worth the watch. And the question is can Gen Z watch a 3-hour movie?
over like 3 or 4 days, probably.
Watch it in 10-minute segments.
10-minute segments. Overall, great movie. Worth watching. Good review.
Oh,
See you, Wes. Right when we were coming up to his movie review.
yeah. Something happened to his phone.
Well, chances are his charger died. But we have his movie, and you and I will be reviewing it. So we'll give him a few minutes here.
Yeah, but it was interesting. Yeah, so I looked up. Yeah, Penny Lane Trumbull. She lives in Portland, Oregon. She's a philanthropist. So that was kind of cool. The people
Yeah.
like, oh, she's a real.
Yeah, I think there was multiple, right?
Well, yeah, the Billy character, what Billy Crudup's character was supposed to be after Glenn Fry from the Eagles,
Yeah.
and then yeah,
And
like I
Cameron
think
Crowe and
yeah,
Lester Bangs.
yeah.
So I mean, it was pretty cool in that sense. All right. Well, we don't necessarily need Wes for this part. I'll let you choose. Oh, there he is. Oh, you don't get to choose. Wes, we almost chose for you, but we'll let you introduce your movie and choose the good and the bad.
Well, um, okay. Uh, I say Steve does the good, Derek does the bad.
And the movie is in Mission Impossible 2. So I'm doing the good, Derek's doing the bad.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, look, it's been a long time. And I think I've only seen that movie once before this time. So I just preface this for a second, and I get it for all of you people out there that don't necessarily like Tom Cruise. I love Tom Cruise as an actor. I think he's done a lot of great movies, and he plays a plays the parts really well. Like he really invests into his parts. This one's a little more of a stretch. It's that Mission Impossible, that James Bond, that John Wick type character. They have to play it out, and it slows down the movie slightly when they're trying to build some of the story. But there's a ton of action, and action's great. I actually, it's funny because we I signed Darebus earlier, and he's like, "Oh, Caitlin said it's a love story. It is a love story in a sense, which I like. I like the fact that he was doing things, for a reason more than just the mission. I also really love, and this is weird, I love the how they brought in the masks, and playing different people. I think that's a cool twist to a movie. And I also think that's like you look at the one part where Tom Cruise grabs her when he tells her to escape, but it's really not Tom Cruise, and she goes back because she thought she was talking to him. Like that's a cool twist. Like those things make the movie exciting. And you don't know it unless you've seen it before, if that's the reasoning. So the action overall for me was top notch. There's enough action throughout the movie that will keep me interested the whole movie, and most of it is pretty good. So overall, definitely like the movie. Good plot, good story, semi good acting.
Okay, the bad. I will start off with the good is I did like the opening scene, the Doug Ray Scott scene at the beginning. I did like that, and I did like Anthony Hopkins acting and Thandie Newton's acting. But the movie for me is the worst of the Mission Impossible movies. It's like, yeah. The first time I watched it was so hard to get through, and then this time I'm like, okay, I got to do it. And it was so hard to get through again. It was so cheesy at the beginning, like when he's climbing or when the introduction of him. It kind of went away from the Mission Impossible movies. I mean, it didn't seem as like the first movie was so good, and then it was John Woo, it just got a huge John Woo imprint in it, not a Mission Impossible imprint. Um, but Thandie Newton was great in it, and then a little bit of Anthony Hopkins you get was great. But the biggest thing it did, and this guy is probably so pissed at this movie, it ruined Dougray Scott's career. He was in line. He was hired to be Wolverine, but he couldn't do it because he had to do Mission Impossible 2. It went over. And so he missed out on being Wolverine. And do we even know him anymore?
No, he has to be what Tom Cruise's double.
Yeah. So he missed out on becoming like Hugh Jackman should thank his lucky stars about Mission Impossible 2 because without Mission Impossible 2, Hugh Jackman would not be Wolverine.
Yeah, that's good. I actually really loved his part there. I think he did a good job. You know, so many good points there. Overall, the movie's good. It's good enough to watch. It kept me entertained. I didn't fall asleep. Like those are good things, right?
Right.
My biggest complaint, if I had to make a complaint about the movie, is you have all these mercenaries for hire. You have this great team of villains, right? Who do amazing things until it's time to shoot Tom Cruise, and then they can't hit the broadside of a barn.
Stormtroopers.
I mean, they are. They're the stormtroopers. It's crazy, though, right? You
I
can't
don't know
make
what you're
them look.
talking about.
You can't make them look so good in the like different things they're doing until it's time to shoot running away Tom Cruise, right? That's weird to me.
Especially when it's on a motorcycle.
Yeah, I mean,
There,
impossible to hit. Couldn't hit a guy on a motorcycle. That's the part that little drives me nuts. That's when I mentioned like the John Wick 007 type, you know, thing because it's like, come on, like these guys are great shots. They're military experts. You just showed them doing it, and now they can't hit them. That's kind of frustrating. I think you need to take away some of that action shoot 'em up and make Tom Cruise a little smarter and more versatile to where he's not just dodging bullets on
what are you talking about? He slid and off the bike, turned the bike around and shot at the car at the gas tank and it blew up. How
right.
much smarter do you have to get, dude?
Because the guys couldn't shoot him while he was doing that kick turn on slide out on the bike, dude. Come on, man. So that's for me that would be the bad, but it's still a good movie. Like it was also maybe it's the only reason I only saw it once, but it's good to go back and watch it again. So three good movie reviews there. I like the difference and going into different genres. So what we really want to hear next time, any comments, movie reviews you have for us, what you want to hear. But yeah, we'll wrap it up there. Some great segments. We hit the movie entertainment, hit the NCAA March Madness tournament, which we'll give you update on next week. And of course, NFL ongoing, get more in the draft. So don't forget to subscribe and like. Don't forget to leave comments. What do you want to hear? And we'll get on those. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.